exactly what she said, you know. So I got the telephone number, and I went back to the book, and I got the you know, I started to, and at this point where I'm looking at maybe the name around, might have wound up with his real name.
I don't know, I'm looking forward to it.
This is as good as that's what yesterday morning.
What do you have to do? You're going to have it ripped out.
Yes, I don't need it anymore. I don't.
However, because of transfer the new sites to the legacy.
While we've got here,
Just going to sell the library card yesterday. I'm a cold
I just got mine too. Mine just. I got mine.
welcome to the dedication ceremonies for the new Haworth Library building. We'd like to have Tom Dix, the commander of the local post, the American Legion, lead us in the presentation of the colors. Thank you, Bud. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives the American Legion great pleasure to provide these flags. This flag, this American flag, is a special flag. It has flown over our nation's capital in Washington, D.C., and we have provided the library staff with a certificate to prove it. May Old Glory remind all who enter this library to cherish this nation and the work of their forefathers. May it long wave over the land of the free, the home of the brave, and in the Haworth Library. I would like to welcome you to our new Haworth Library building. I will make some remarks about the Board of Trustees and what we did and what our part was to play with the bringing into being the new building. Our Mayor John DeRienzo will go into much more detail in the overall picture of the bringing of the building into being on a town-wide level, and he'll say thank you to many of those who were involved and participated in the activity. I would like to point out that I said welcome to the dedication ceremonies for the new Haworth Library building. New modifies building. The Haworth Library is coming up for its 100th year. If you haven't already done so, there are some flyers here on the table that go through a brief history of the library. It started back in 1895. And in 5 years will be really an ongoing entity for about 100 years. So we aren't new, we're an old library, but we are in a brand new building. And I would like to say that the Board of Trustees were given the responsibility to furnish the library. The town furnished the building, but we had to get the library put together. The spirit that was shown through 100 years, I would like to tell you, is still alive and well. Lots of people put in a lot of time, did a lot of work, and were very, very helpful in putting this whole program together. We ran a program for fundraising where we raised $40,000. Out of a small town like this, we got $40,000 in our fundraising. $35,000 of it in cash, and $5,000 in such things as stock and donations of different sorts, services that were rendered for the move of the library, etc. So the help that we got in our fundraising was just tremendous. As part of that, we sent a flyer out asking for funds. And then we had telephone follow-up after that. The group that went down and did that telephoning is entitled to a never-ending thank you from the library board, because it just isn't fun to spend a Sunday evening going out asking for funds. Very few people look forward to doing something like that. But we got a whole group that went down. We had a telephone facility offered to us where there were enough telephones so that 10 or 12 of us went down and made all those telephone calls. The telephoning and the brochure that went out was a wonderful 1-2 punch. It really worked out very, very well. And as I say, from a small town like Haworth, we picked up $40,000. These aren't pledges now. We have the money. And I'd like to also point out what? But I'd like to also point out, though, that it was low pressure all the way through. There was nobody pressured in this pledge. If we called and somebody was opposed to the library, we didn't try to convince them or change their mind. We just were calling to ask what their response was. If they wanted to contribute, that's what we were looking to hear. If they didn't, we weren't trying to change their minds. We kept it low-key as well as we could. And we also got 100% of the money for the library. You know, we didn't get professional fundraisers who would take half of it or whatever amount it might be. Everything that was contributed by anyone went to the library. 100% of it went to the library. So I think we did very, very well on the fund drive, and we're very, very pleased, and we thank everyone for his generosity. I would like to introduce the members of the Board of Trustees. I don't think that Arnie Light is present. I think he had another function that he had to go to. Patty Hoffel is here. Patty is the treasurer, and Patty did a wonderful job of keeping record and track of all the donations that were made, and off of that, I think she was done very, very well. Ruth Horning. Member of our board. Emily Lockman. Emily's here. And Florence Poris. And Alan Grossberg.
Well, Florence stood up for me.
I would now like to say something about the mayor. As I said before, he is going to stand up and pass out kudos and thank yous and all that kind of thing. But nobody's going to do it for him. You know, so I would like to take this opportunity to thank him on behalf of the Board of Trustees for the effort and the push that he put into it. Because we took an instrumental part in putting this whole thing together. It was done very, very well. And now, I would like to call upon our mayor to make a few remarks for us.
Thank you, Ben.
The first person I'm going to introduce is a very, very important person to this whole process for the new library. We as citizens have a great time in looking at our state officials and bashing them every chance we get. I know I do, and I thoroughly enjoy it. But every now and then, the state officials get together and really work with the town and help us. As part of this library, we had to apply for a state grant. Grant doesn't mean loan. It means they were going to give us the money. We were very concerned about whether or not that would take place. Well, through the efforts of the next person I'm going to introduce, his other colleague in the Assembly, and our state senator, we were successful in obtaining a $63,000 grant. And on behalf of the citizens of the borough of Haworth, I would like to introduce Pat Schuber, our Assemblyman.
Mayor
DeRienzo, thank you very, very much. And members of the council and friends of libraries, I am most pleased to be here today, not only because I represent Haworth in the legislature for these last 9 years, but for the fact of the dedication of this new library, because my first municipal position, more years ago than I want to care to talk about, was as a member of the Pagoda Library Board of Trustees. And I served 3 fine terms on that board and was its president, and set in motion the plans which eventually led to the construction of a new library in my hometown. So I can tell you firsthand that libraries have been always close to my heart, and for all of you who serve on the Haworth Board of Trustees for this fine library, let me indicate to you how important your service is, not only to this library, but to your community, and I commend you for that.
I would like to introduce 2 members of the council who are present and sitting in the audience, Councilman Ryan and Councilman Cooper. Under our form of government, the people who serve on your council are volunteers, and we use the portfolio method of governing, which means each councilwoman or councilman has various portfolios that they are responsible for, and then they come back and report to the entire council. The 2 people directly involved with this project are here with us today and are going to say a few words. I would first like to introduce Councilwoman Peggy Blumenthal, who is the liaison between the council and the library board.
When I first came on the council last year, we were faced with a very hard decision of whether to build a library. There was much controversy in town over whether to do it. And I think we did the right thing, and I'd like to thank a few people who were instrumental in that. And number 1, John Ryan, who introduced into going out to bid, which was a very difficult thing for John to do. Number 2, Joan Frazier, who it was very difficult for her to make a decision on whether to do something as instrumental as building a library. It had been on the, how long had it been on the drawing board?
10 years.
10 years. And we definitely needed it, and it was nice to get it. And also Peggy Shear, who's here, she was very important in it. And Steve Cheval, I don't know if Steve is here. No, Steve's not here. And the most important was our mayor, John DeRienzo, who really was very, very brave and did something that you can see, and that's nice. And it's been a pleasure working on the library board this year, especially with so much excitement raising money, and we had a good time going down there, didn't we, Bud? We're going to do it more often, raising money for ourselves, but we had a good time. And I'd like to introduce Joan, who's worked on this for a very long time. Joan Frazier.
We have a library to be proud of. This building is testimony to that fact. It is a testimony to the many fine people who serve and are serving on the Library Board of Trustees, and certainly to the friends of the library. There's also a testimony to our librarian, June Lewin, and to the volunteers who assist her. I would also like to give special thanks to 3 people I worked closely with during the construction of this building. First of all, Ed Smith, who is the clerk of the works and who did a magnificent job. Ed? Also, Vince Chiaffi, the architect, who was wonderful during this entire project. Vince? And also to Mayor John DeRienzo, whose unfailing support and enthusiasm made this project such a pleasure and great success. John?
I just want you to know the preparations for today did not go without nervousness, queasy stomachs, et cetera, and Bud probably spent about 14 different telephone calls with me telling me what I was going to do today. And my main purpose was to thank people, and he prepared me a list on who to thank. Nobody else was supposed to do that. But since they've thanked everybody, I just have some very short remarks. The nice part about a project like this is to see Joan Frazier and Ed Smith work together with June to see that this structure was built. As a result of that, they got involved in a project where they could probably go out today and build 5 22-story apartments without any problem. Ed unfortunately opened his mouth and volunteered to be clerk of the works, which he still hasn't figured out what clerk of the works is, but as a result of that, he watched every stone go into this building. This building, I can assure you, with Vince's cooperation, our architect, is as strong as the Rock of Gibraltar. I just hope the air conditioner doesn't leak as I say that. Probably one of the most frustrating things in the world for anybody who deals with municipality is the time it takes in order to get something accomplished. Or the other word for it is bureaucracy. And sometimes that can be extremely frustrating. When something takes place, the seed of an idea, and it takes 10 years to accomplish it, you do get extremely frustrated. However, you're sitting in something that has been accomplished. And it wasn't easy. It really wasn't easy at all. Because first of all, you had to go back and look at the people that were involved. And when people say to me, quote, where is the library today? Where is the library? Or did our tax dollars pay for the library? Or how much money does the mayor and council get paid? And where is your offices, et cetera, et cetera? I kind of smile. Because one of the pleasures of being the mayor of the borough of Haworth is that I know that this town could not operate without volunteers. And anytime somebody gets a little discouraged about who doesn't do what, just remember the number 350. Because there are over 350 people who are actively involved in this borough, either on planning boards, recreation commissions, ambulance corps, fire, police auxiliary, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what makes this town so beautiful. And what makes it such a great place to live. And as Joan alluded to with our children, we have probably the finest athletic program in the Northern Valley, Bergen County, or even in the state. And that's all volunteers. Now the library itself. First group I have to say thank you to is I walk in this morning and I look to the left, and that's our brownie tree. They did an outstanding job in planting the flowers that you see as you walk along the sidewalk, and they deserve a round of applause for our brownie trees. Another person who's not with us today is Bill Cohn. Bill has a house that's over on Content Avenue that most of us don't even know is in Haworth. It's tucked away behind the golf courses. His business is primarily public relations, and he offered to meet with Bud and the library board and try to form a way of raising the money that was needed for the fixtures in this library. And he did an outstanding job, and even though he's not here, I would like to say thank you to him. The Friends of the Library, Myrna Dorfler and Paula Gervis. All right? I don't think people understand what the Friends of the Library are. Right?
They do all the work.
Right. They're the ones who do all the work. All right? As volunteers. Right? And they do an outstanding job. We also have in the audience a person who is a very quiet and distinguished man. Doesn't say too much, never causes much of a controversy, unless he has something that he wants to see get done. Now this man, I have to tell you, in his own infinite wisdom, drove me absolutely crazy why we could not get this accomplished. And that is a past board member of the library who should take credit for helping to get this done, Mr. Larry Shear. Is John Garrity with us?
No.
No. What can I say about June Lewin, the librarian? Well, no. June had a fantastic, and still does, opportunity. She took a dream. She took her professional experience, she put it together, and the end result is this library. That lady planned this whole thing, and she deserves a well-rounded applause. To go into all of the various things that happened during the planning, the building, the construction, and the final opening of the library would probably take about 1,000 years and would make a very good soap serial. Because the amount of phone calls that would go back and forth over such things as a ceiling tile or a window or the rug color and that type of thing were absolutely outstanding. I mean, I really got a big kick out of all the people who were involved. Now, Bud made very light of the fundraising kind of a thing. think about this. There are 1,100 and some odd homes in the borough of Haworth. Those people contributed almost $40,000. $40,000. So that this could be accomplished. Now, in order to do that, there had to be a telephone committee set up. And Mrs. Blumenthal, through her sister-in-law, the Sacristines, arranged the lawyer's office to do this in. But to get people to ask other people for money on the telephone is not an easy thing to do. Not at all. And I have to tell you, because I was there the night they did it, the trepidation and fear before the first calls were made were really comical. There was going to be, hello, my name is Mr. Hanley, I represent the library board, and we need money. And some of the responses they expected was drop dead. You know, if you want to give out money, come and give it to me and so forth. Didn't happen. Did not happen. They got excellent responses, and they raised $40,000. But it's not over. You see, once they've accomplished that, now they know that there are more opportunities. In a little while, there's going to be a dedication over my left shoulder, and what they're going to remind some of the people in the town of is if you want to get your name on that plaque, there's still time to do that. Right? There's still time. And that really is true. Because one of the things that would really round off and make this project complete is us becoming involved with the Bergen County Library System computerized, which gives us more access to books. And one of the ways we're going to have to do that is the cooperation of the people in the town. I can honestly tell you that this has been probably one of the nicest things I've ever been involved in, and it makes being mayor worthwhile. Thank you very much.
Now we would like to have a couple of words from our librarian, none other than June Lewin, who also has done a very good job.
Lee Freeze could not be here today. She's visiting her daughter in Colorado and her cousin in California, but she left me a message. Although I can't be with you today, I'll of course be thinking of you. In 1964, when I became director of the new Haworth Municipal Library, we had plenty of room for books. But eventually, as more and more residents used the library and the collection kept increasing, we ran out of space. Haworthians love their library, and committees were appointed to study the possibility of either adding on to the existing building or building a new one. Well, as you all sit here today enjoying the spacious new library building, I thank you all. I thank all those dedicated people who spent so many hours working towards this day. So once again, I congratulate you and wish everyone well. Sincerely, Lee. It is said that in every librarian's career, he or she will be involved with a building project, either renovation or new construction. I never expected such an opportunity to come my way the moment I put my director's hat on. But in fact, that's exactly what did happen, and I'm proud to have been a part of this project. I became director in December 1987, and my goal for the library was the same then as it is today, to provide the best possible library service to the residents of Haworth. Today, I am proud to say we are right on course. We provide a comfortable and pleasant environment for staff and patrons. This library offers extensive children's programming. We plan special interest programs for adults and specifically senior residents. We seek out and have delivered books, magazines, and videos from other libraries for our patrons. I am very proud to announce that through the generosity of the Mayor and Council and residents of Haworth, the Library Board of Trustees has voted to join the Bergen County Libraries Computer Consortium. I would be remiss if I did not take this opportunity to thank the entire staff of the library. Without them, there would be no books to check out, no programs to attend, and this library would not feel foolish now. This library is as great as it is because of them, and I thank each and every one of them for their patience and support.
Now we are going to unveil the plaque. There is nobody that we could think of who was more fitting to undertake that chore than the person I'm going to mention in a second. Now, I've been on the Library Board of Trustees for 12 years. she makes me look like the new kid on the block when you start to talk about her experience on the library board. Either through the school and through her own appointment as a trustee, Florence Poris, I think, came on the board in 1970, Florence? Am I giving secrets away? People are going to ask you. But Florence has been associated with the library since 1970. And we would like to ask Florence to come forward and unveil our plaque.
This gives me a great deal of pleasure. I was not here 95 years ago. But 1970. I have to say that Haworth now has two great libraries. Anyway.
Thank you very much, Florence. And if you go up there and find your name misspelled, please don't tell me. We have done everything we can to be sure that the names are on right, that they're not spelled incorrectly, that everything is correct, that the way you wanted your name to appear is the way it is up on the board. One big fear is, God forbid, that we forgot somebody. I hope not. Thank you very much.
That came out great.
Nice meeting you, sir, and thank you.
He does, yes. Okay, it's going on. Yeah.